But anyways, Moni, who is next?
Up next, we have Trix. They were writing their question as I was going through that first one, so I'm going to pull them in.
Trix, how you doing? You're muted at the minute. I think you may have to switch. There we go. How you doing, Trix?
Yeah, I am doing fantastic. So I have two pretty big questions for you.
All right.
First one is regarding the concept of the Drust. I'm a big fanatic of them. Do you think we will see their plotline evolve in the future? Since in Shadowlands, they had like a very big void theme, but similar to the Emerald Nightmare, their side of the void was very like deep blues, purples, that kind of stuff, and the portal that they had, the Maw of Thros, had animations of like this tentacle snake thing, and they talk of a master.
Yeah.
Do you think that could maybe relate to like a birth of a fifth old god, possibly?
Birth of a fifth old god? I don't know. The thing with the Drust, what makes them very interesting, almost definitely their story will continue. Because you have, especially in this expansion, especially in Dragonflight, you have all of the elemental forces as well as the cosmological forces, sort of coming to the fore. And when you're talking cosmological forces and elemental forces, the Drust has to be mentioned. Because if you're gonna have life magic, anti-life is important. And that is sort of where the Drust comes in. They're death druids, as it were. But more importantly, and perhaps not entirely unexpected, they're almost decay druids. Now, remember... Sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, that was like really interesting, because if you looked into like Drustvar and everything, we saw like very early signs of like this decay vibe and everything.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, the thing is, a death druid would simply channel the powers of death, right? And that would look very similar to a death knight. But that's not the powers that the Drust have. Their powers are literally the powers of decay, the anti-life side of things, which decay is. If life is the renewal of, existence, decay is the death of existence. And that seems to be what the Drust do. They are beings of decay. And we now have the Gnolls that sort of, through no fault of their own, have been introduced to this great power of decay, and they're starting to cannibalize each other, and they're starting to grow more powerful. And this is literally the story of Galakrond, because he discovered a power as well that led him down this incredibly dark path. Now, the fact that the Drust says master, this is where things get really wild. It is said that Galakrond found a power. He went searching one day, and he just kept flying in some direction on Azeroth. We don't know which direction, but he chose a direction and he just flew. And then he discovered something. And it was the something that he discovered that eventually led him to the path of decay. And then, of course, he became the aspect of decay. Although, at that point, or he's never been referred to that officially in the lore, that's effectively what he was. The Drust, very similarly, used to be druids. And somehow, they discovered this other side power. There's this power of decay druidism, where they literally destroy life in their wake. Could their master be the same thing that Galakrond found? Because we know it was a power. We know it was a thing that Galakrond found. At one point, Galakrond lies sleeping, and he is growing in power and size through a light, an energy source that seems to be feeding him while he's sleeping. So almost as if something was preparing him for some kind of battle, some kind of absorption. Everything that Galakrond touches turns into decay. He breathes decay, and what's very interesting, he breathes this mist. And any dragon that's caught in this mist have their life literally pulled out of them. So they become completely disoriented, and they almost give up. They just sort of stay in one position. They don't move. They just wait for Galakrond to consume them. This is all part of Decay. This is all part of like what Drust would do. So I do think that there's a storyline literally being prepared for them right now through the Gnolls. What that storyline is, though, could it be a fifth old god? I have always wondered about this for a couple of reasons. We now have indisputable proof that the Titans had lied to us. Right? We know that the Titans had lied to us on multiple occasions. We also have good reason to believe that the Titans had lied to us. As I discussed earlier in the stream, we have 6 elements. 2 of them completely missing. One of them, we know what happened to that element. Spirit. We know that Azeroth consumed it, at least according to the Chronicles. But where's Decay? We know that there are fire elementals and a fire lord. We know that there are water elementals and a water lord. We know that there are earth elementals and an earth lord, and wind, the same thing. The spirit ones would have been consumed, but where's the Decay one? It is a primal magic in the Great Cosmic, in the Great Cosmos. It's a primal magic. It has to be there, and yet it isn't. It has literally no representable or no representatives. And then we have these beings that are influenced by something that then turn into Decay beings, the Drust being one of them, Galakrond being another. Could it be that the Titans arrived on Azeroth, saw Decay, and said, no, we're not fucking with this. Close this down, destroy all records. They're not getting out. And somehow they have found a way out.
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot. You have to think that maybe the Decay was imprisoned, kind of like how the Titans are quote imprisoned Azeroth. You know?
Yeah. Someone in chat literally just said that, and I completely forgot about this. Gahun has the same powers as Galakrond. Galakrond's powers comes from Decay. So it is possible that the Titans locked up Decay, but then used Decay in their experiments, trying to figure out either how do you defeat it, or how does it operate and function. Because the thing with even Tyr had no idea why Galakrond was being infected the way that he was. They knew that he had found something, and they didn't think that he would find the thing that he found. So they knew what he found. They were well aware of what he found. They never said, but they were well aware of what he found. They just didn't know how he found it, suggesting that they had made sure that it would almost never be discovered. But then more importantly, Tyr had no idea why it was interacting and affecting Galakrond in the way that it had. It wasn't supposed to do so, which suggests that they had probably done experiments on other beings using this power, trying to figure out why. Why exactly is it affecting things the way that it is? And this might be where things like Gahun comes from, is because they locked it up, Decay, and then used the essence of Decay on multiple beings, trying to figure out, because if you can know how it infects, you can know how to stop it.
Right.
So before we move on to your second question, Trix, which you'll definitely get the chance, we actually have a follow-up question that a new member submitted that tacks on to your question about a fifth god.
Okay.
So Permafrost, just so you know, thanks for submitting that question. I wanted to just squeeze that in while we were on topic here.
Yeah.
They ask, to follow up on the question about the fifth old god, is it possible that this fifth old god is somehow connected to either Genhair, the druid artifact weapon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Echo. Which for some weird reason has very old goddish name, or could this old god be connected to Kajamite and the goblins?
It's an interesting thought. To Ganir, not so much, because while yes, Ganir might sound a little old godish, it also sounds a lot Azerothian. You know, if you listen to the name, if you look at the names of the world trees and stuff like that, Ganir makes sense in Azeroth. A lot of beings have those hyphenated names, so it doesn't just have to be old god-esque. What I would probably argue is the Kajamite might be a bigger hook into the story. So Kajamite is, if we listen to Kajamite, if we listen to the descriptions of Kajamite, it is very similar to the Blood of Azeroth. The problem is the location of it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Why it showed up when it did and then where it did seems to be rather awkward, especially considering it showed up nowhere else. Only there. We assume that assumed that Anima is the Blood of Azeroth because we were told that it is the Blood of Azeroth. We've never actually had any, shall we say, confirmation of it. And here's why. When the Titans ripped Yisaraj out of Azeroth, the whole left behind, or the act itself caused the very first cataclysm to take place. And then, of course, the whole left behind filled up, according to the Titans, with the blood of Azeroth. That blood, however, didn't do what the Azerite did. Not even close. Azerite crystallized. It almost became like a mineable material. Very similar to Kajamite. Whereas the hole left by Yisaraj became an actual dam, a lake. Running water. Like living waters. And yes, it was unstable, and then Arcane was introduced in order to stabilize it. And it led to incredible life forming around it. Now, what happened just before Azerite showed up on Azeroth? Sargeras stabbed a location where an old god, at least an old god corpse, was. Whether that old god is actually dead, we now don't really know, because when Denuzer was asked about this by Noble, Denuzer's answer was, the old gods are never really dead. So we don't actually know what happened to the old gods. Are they away or not? Right? No one knows. But it is interesting that sword stabs Azeroth, literally where an old god would be, and then suddenly we see the same kind of blood that Kajamite was. Not the same as when Yisaraj was pulled out of the planet and, the blood of Azeroth filled the hole. No, we see Kajamite. Which is possible that as the Titans ripped Yisaraj out of the planet, his blood, the drops of his blood that fell near the goblins, that crystallized into Kajamite. And this is what they then used. Or, when they ripped Yisaraj out of the planet, whichever old god was buried there got hurt in the process, because they do seem to all be connected to one another in some way, shape, or form. I don't actually know what the answer there would be. It could be. Let's put it that way. What's your take on the fifth old god? Before we get into your next question, what's your take on the fifth old god?
I really think that Blizzard is brewing something.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like they're attacking this at multiple different angles, like this kind of concept. You have the Drust, you have the Decay Gnolls, you have all of these different elements occurring. You have these whispers of roots and something underground.
Yes.
Did
you finish the Bronze Dragon storyline, right?
I've played through the storyline like 5 times.
There you go. Those whispers, its roots grow deeper, waiting for our embrace. It's like, what the fuck? That's a bit wild.
Yeah, there's definitely something coming, and whether it's Fifth Old God related or something more, I don't really know, but I'm really excited for it. So.
Same. Very same. Very fucking same, dude. When it comes to the Old Gods, I think arguably they're my favorite faction, quote unquote, in World of Warcraft. I love their whispers. I mean, the most speculation back in Legion, we did. Oh my god, guys! Back in Legion, we did a video a day speculation. Like literally every single day, I made a new speculation video, just based on the whispers and the stuff that the Old Gods were doing. Because there's so many possibilities when it comes to the Old Gods. So I am super excited for anything to do with the Old Gods. Yeah, they have to bring them back, and I think they know that they have to bring them back. The Old Gods are as a part of the story of Azeroth as well, Azeroth. So yeah, right. I'm pretty sure they're bringing them back.
And if you think about it, I forget where the image comes from. I believe it's from Chronicles itself. But there's a page where you have the different depictions of all the Old Gods. And in the top right corner, there's like a mysterious vine-like looking creature.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So that makes you wonder, where is that being?
There's a few reasons why. Oh, there's a few things that should make you wonder about the existence of a fifth Old God. The first is the very earliest mentions we have of the Old Gods suggest that there are 5. And then, of course, Blizzard came around and they sort of changed it to 4 when World of Warcraft came out. And then we have, even in, I believe it's Grimoire of the Shadowlands, but don't quote me on this. It may actually have been a different book, but I think it was Grimoire of the Shadowlands, where there's a page with like Old Gods on it, and there's 5 Old Gods on that page. Now, at the time, Blizzard said, "Oh, it's just artwork," but it's interesting that it's 5. If it was just artwork, why not 2 or 3 or 6 or 9 or 20? Why 5? Literally one of the oldest speculations in World of Warcraft, and you go with that, as if that is not gonna drive all of us fucking nuts thinking about this. You know, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where the story actually goes for the Old Gods. Really looking forward to the story of the Old Gods.
And another interesting point that you'd have to kind of think about is if there's these other whispers, 5 keys, 5 torches, 5 Old Gods. You know, 5 seems to be a really, it seems to be Blizzard's favorite number. So
I just quickly on this, I need to fucking say this. 5 keys to open our way, 5 torches to light the path. And then it says, the follow-up whisper says, 5 lanterns now darkened, the flame they seek will open the master's way. This has been and has always been the Dragonflights. I say that it's the Dragonflights during Legion. I say that it's the Dragonflights during BFA. I say that it's the Dragonflight during Shadowlands. For a brief moment, I considered the idea of it being the Eternal Ones. And then problems started arising. How could it be the Eternal Ones? The Old Gods are not present in the Shadowlands. They may attack the Void, not the Old Gods. The Void may attack the Shadowlands, but the Old Gods are not there. And it wasn't even flames that the Eternal Ones were seeking. They didn't have lanterns that were darkened or keys that were required outside of what Zuval wanted. But that's not what the Whisper says. The Whisper doesn't say that someone is looking for keys. It said that there are 5 keys to open the way, 5 torches to light the path. And then it says 5 lanterns now darkened. The flame they seek will open the Master's way. In other words, there's more than one being that is searching for these flames, that require these flames. And now we look at Dragonflight, and what are the aspects looking for? They're oathstones. They're trying to activate the oathstones. And it just so happens, coincidentally, that each one of the oathstones is a key to the Mother Stone. And once all of the oathstones have been unlocked, the Mother Stone can be unlocked, so as to make them the protectors of Azeroth again. And Khadgar is part of this expansion, lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen. And what is the whisper about Khadgar? It says that the Lord of Ravens shall turn the key.
You just have to wonder what happens after the key is turned.
Yeah. What exactly lies in it? Because the Titans were very clever. They had multiple sort of locks and keys and ways in which to do things. You know, and very often, whatever the Titans built served multiple purposes, not just singular. The Oathstones may have indeed been built that provide power to the aspects. It is possible that that power that is provided to the aspects is being tapped from an old god itself. So in order to empower the aspects, giving them the ability to protect Azeroth, they literally tapped into the life force of an old god through the Mother Stone and through the other Oathstones. And that now that they need this back, they're going to make a mistake. They're going to do something that they're not supposed to do. And in that moment, they're going to unleash an old god. Perhaps the most powerful of all of the old gods. I don't know.
What if...
Yeah?
What if activating the Mother Stone makes it so the 5th old god is free? What if that's the key that binds it?
Yeah, that's...
Since you said it serves multiple purposes, the whole entire Dragon Isles is just a giant prison.
Yeah, that to me makes sense. The old gods, it could have been that... Oh, there's so many things that it could be, actually. It could just have been that an old god made their home there, and the Titans couldn't get rid of it. Not without destroying the very Dragon Isles that they had worked so hard to cultivate. And so the only answer they had was to just lock it away. Just ensure that it doesn't get out. Now you have to start asking yourself, the fact that they gave this place the ability to disappear from Azeroth, was that because they were afraid of something getting in? Or they were afraid of something getting out? That's
a very big... That is...
Yeah. I mean, if it is the latter, that's scary as shit. Because it means that all of the other old gods were fine. They just got normal prisons. Whatever the fuck is hidden below the Dragon Isles was so scary that they couldn't allow it any chance of ever escaping. It was just not possible. And then, of course, comes a much more interesting little tidbit. Nalfarian serves the old gods. He goes ahead and he creates a thing called the Dragon Soul. The Dragon Soul eventually leads to the stripping of the aspect's power. Because of how it's designed and because of what they require. What if all of this was done because the old gods, in order to get their power back, in order to truly reign, they required the aspects to lose their power so that the aspects would seek to reignite their power. Because there's no way the Titans could have known at the time, except for Amonthul maybe. But there's no way the other Titans could have known that Deathwing would ultimately betray his own brothers and sisters, and by doing so, would sap the aspects of all of their power. There's no way that he would have known that. And so when Deathwing did that, he was playing right into the hands of the old gods because they needed this. So I'm definitely excited for this. Very much so. So thank you for that question, bro. I really appreciate it.